He always believed he'd never have a family, until three little miracles arrived all at once and turned his life upside down. If you like stories like this, don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We post every day. And now, back to our story. Ryan Montgomery stared out at the Barcelona skyline through the hotel's massive windows, a glass of scotch balanced between his fingers. The tech conference had ended 2 hours ago, and he should have been in his room reviewing reports for Monday's meeting in New York. At 35, the CEO of Montgomery Tech had built a multi-billion-dollar empire based on ironclad discipline and rules he never broke. Rule number 1, business always comes first. Rule number 2, relationships were temporary contracts with no auto-renewal. Rule number 3, family was an expensive distraction he couldn't afford. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" The female voice, warm with a hint of a southern accent, made him turn. A brunette woman, about 30, was holding a glass of red wine and pointing to the armchair next to his in the hotel bar. She wore a simple navy blue dress that highlighted her expressive brown eyes. There was something different about her, an authenticity that contrasted with the artificial atmosphere of corporate networking. "Be my guest," Ryan answered, gesturing to the chair, also escaping the talk about market share and disruptive innovation. She laughed, a genuine sound that surprised him. "Something like that. I'm Maya Scott, a software engineer from Tech South, out of Austin. And you must be Ryan Montgomery, the man who revolutionized artificial intelligence in the US. "Must be?" Ryan arched an eyebrow, amused. Most people who approached him at these events started with flattery or a request. "Well, your keynotes were the most talked about at the conference, but I could be confusing you with another American billionaire who hates PowerPoint presentations." Maya took a sip of wine, her eyes sparkling with humor. Ryan found himself genuinely smiling for the first time in weeks. "Guilty as charged, and yes, I hate PowerPoint. I prefer raw data and straight talk." "Interesting. Most execs I know love to hide their lack of substance behind colorful slides." Maya settled into the armchair, crossing her legs. "I have to say, your approach to machine learning in agriculture was impressive. I grew up in rural Texas. My grandfather was a farmer. It's refreshing to see tech being used to solve real-world problems." Ryan studied her face. Maya spoke with genuine passion, free of the artificiality he was used to in the business world. There was something magnetic about her personality, a mix of intelligence, humor, and a raw honesty that disarmed him. "And what's an engineer from Austin doing at a conference like this?" Ryan asked, genuinely curious. "Even though my company is small compared to the major corporations, we develop some interesting solutions. Automation systems for small and medium-sized farms. Nothing too glamorous, but it makes a real difference in people's lives." Maya shrugged. "And you? What's the great Ryan Montgomery doing drinking alone in a hotel bar instead of closing multi-million-dollar deals?" "Maybe trying to remember what it's like to have a real conversation with someone," Ryan replied, surprising himself with his honesty. Maya studied him for a moment. "That sounds dangerously close to emotional vulnerability. I'm sure that violates at least 3 rules in the Successful CEO Handbook." "4, actually," Ryan laughed, realizing he couldn't remember the last time he'd relaxed like this. "But we're on international soil. Maybe the rules don't apply here." The next 2 hours flew by like minutes. Maya talked about her passion for technology, about fighting for scholarships, about the difficulty of being one of the few women in her engineering program. Ryan found himself sharing stories he never told, about the pressure of taking over his father's company at 25, about the loneliness that came with success. When the bar started to empty, Maya glanced at her watch. "I have to go. My flight to Austin leaves at 7 in the morning." Ryan felt a strange pang in his chest, something he couldn't identify. "Maya," he started, but he didn't know how to finish the sentence. She stood up, grabbing her purse. "It was an interesting conversation, Ryan. Good luck with your multi-million-dollar deals." "Wait." The words came out before he could filter them. "Do you want to come up to my room?" Maya stared at him for a long moment. "Let me guess, you have rules for that too." "Several," Ryan admitted. "No phone numbers, no promises, no expectations for tomorrow." "And you think I'm going to accept those terms?" Maya asked, but there was something in her eyes that wasn't indignation. "I don't know, I hope so." Maya was silent for a few seconds, then nodded. "All right, but on one condition. After tonight, we never see each other again. You go back to your billionaire life in New York. I go back to my normal life in Austin. No complications." Ryan felt relief and, strangely, a slight disappointment. Deal. The elevator ride to the 10th floor was a silent eternity, charged with electric tension. The moment the doors to Ryan's suite closed behind them, the civilized restraint vanished. Maya kissed him with an intensity that caught him off guard, and he responded with a passion he didn't know he still possessed. They made love with a desperate urgency, as if they knew those hours were all they would ever have. Maya was different from the women Ryan was used to. She didn't pretend, didn't perform. She was just herself, completely present in the moment. As the sun began to rise, Maya dressed in silence. Ryan lay in bed watching her, memorizing every detail. "Thank you," she said simply, already at the door. It was real. After she left, Ryan stared at the ceiling for hours. Something had shifted that night, something he couldn't name. But he had business waiting in New York, and rules existed for a reason. 3 months later, back in his relentless routine in New York, Ryan occasionally found himself thinking about Maya Scott. The memory of her would surface at odd times, during important meetings, while drinking coffee alone in his top-floor office at the Montgomery Tower, or in the early morning hours when work failed to fill the strange void that had settled in his chest. But business was business. Montgomery Tech had closed 3 major acquisitions, expanded into 4 Latin American countries, and Ryan was close to sealing the biggest deal in the company's history with the federal government. His life was exactly where it was supposed to be, under complete control. It was on a rainy Thursday in September that everything fell apart. Ryan was reviewing proposals in his office when Carla, his assistant, buzzed him on the intercom. "Mr. Montgomery, there's a woman at reception who insists on speaking with you. She has 3 babies with her." Ryan frowned. 3 babies. What kind of meeting is this? I don't have anything scheduled involving families or... "Sir, she said her name is Maya Scott." The world stopped. Ryan felt as if all the air had been sucked out of the room. What did she say exactly?" "That the babies need to meet their father." Ryan was silent for so long that Carla asked if he was still on the line. "Sir?" "Send her up," he said, his voice coming out unnervingly calm. The 15 minutes it took for Maya to arrive were the longest of Ryan's life. He tried to prepare himself for anything, a prank, a blackmail scheme, a misunderstanding. Anything but the reality he was about to face. When the door opened, Maya walked in, pushing a triple stroller. 3 babies, about 8 months old, were awake, looking around. With curiosity, Ryan looked at them, and his blood ran cold. 2 boys and a girl, all with the same curly dark hair, the same facial structure, the same grey eyes he saw in the mirror every day. Maya looked different, thinner, with dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't completely hide, but she still had that same strong presence that had captivated him in Barcelona. "Hi, Ryan," she said simply, as if she hadn't just imploded his life. "Are they—" Ryan couldn't finish the sentence. "Your children?" "Yes." Maya moved closer to the stroller, lifting the little girl into her arms. "This is Sophia. Those 2 are Matthew and Gabriel. They were born on January 15th. Ryan did some quick math. Barcelona had been in May. The dates lined up. He looked at the babies again, searching for any sign that he was having a nightmare. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" The question came out more aggressively than he intended. Maya didn't flinch. "Because you made it very clear you didn't want complications. No phone numbers, no expectations, remember? I thought it was better to raise them alone than to force you into a situation you didn't want." "Then why are you here now?" "Because they're getting older. And as much as I want to protect them from rejection, they have a right to know who their father is. When they're older, I don't want them to blame me for hiding this from them." Maya adjusted Sophia in her arms. "And you have the right to decide whether or not you want to be a part of their lives." Ryan looked at the children again. Matthew was trying to grab a toy that had fallen, his concentrated expression identical to the one Ryan made when solving complex problems. Gabriel was watching everything with quiet attention, and Sophia smiled when Ryan looked directly at her. I need a DNA test, Ryan said, hating how the words sounded. Of course, Maya answered without hesitation. I expected you to ask for one. I brought all their medical records, birth certificates, everything you'll need. The silence stretched between them as Ryan processed the information. 3 children, triplets. His orderly, controlled life had been completely destroyed in 15 minutes. Maya, he began, but she cut him off. I didn't come here to ask for money or to force you to be a father. I came because it was the right thing to do. If you want to be part of their lives, great. If you don't, I'll understand that too. But I needed to give all of you this chance. Ryan watched how she held Sophia so naturally, how the 2 boys seemed calm despite the strange environment. Maya had been raising 3 babies on her own for 8 months, and she still had the courage to come to him. Where are you living? Ryan asked. I moved back to New York when I found out I was pregnant. I have a small apartment in Williamsburg. I work as a freelancer developing apps. Maya hesitated. It's not much, but it's enough for the 4 of us. And the father thing? How does it work? I mean, if I decide... I don't know, Maya answered honestly. I never thought I'd get this far. I assumed you'd deny everything or just not care. Ryan looked at the children again. Sophia had fallen asleep in Maya's arms, and the boys were playing quietly with their toys. There was a peacefulness to the scene that completely contrasted with the chaos he felt inside. The DNA test will take a few days, Ryan said finally. I know. In the meantime, would you like to get some lunch? I mean, the 4 of you? Maya studied him carefully. Ryan, you don't have to pretend you're okay with this. I understand this situation is... I want to have lunch with you, Ryan interrupted. Please. Maya nodded slowly. Okay, but is there a kid-friendly restaurant around here? They get fussy in places that are too formal. Ryan realized he knew absolutely nothing about restaurants suitable for babies. In fact, he knew nothing about babies, period. Let me look it up, he said, pulling out his phone. As he searched for options, Ryan watched Maya organize the baby's things with practical efficiency. She changed Gabriel's diaper, gave Matthew a bottle, and hummed a soft tune to keep Sophia asleep. She did it all so naturally, like it was a dance she knew by heart. For the first time in his life, Ryan Montgomery felt completely out of control, and strangely, for the first time in years, he wasn't sure he wanted that control back. The DNA test results arrived on a grey Monday. Ryan stared at the official document for 5 minutes before he could process what he was reading. 99.999% probability of paternity for all 3 babies. The words seemed to leap off the page. Matthew, Gabriel, and Sophia Montgomery Scott were officially his children. Ryan was alone in his office when he called Maya. She answered on the second ring, and he could hear a baby crying in the background. The results came in, he said without preamble. And? They're my children. Silence on the other end, except for the continued crying. I know they are, Maya said finally. Do you want to see them again? Yes, today, if possible. Ryan, it's Monday afternoon. Sophia is colicky. Gabriel hasn't eaten anything since this morning, and Matthew has a terrible diaper rash. It's not exactly the best time for a visit. Ryan hesitated. In his life, problems had immediate solutions. You bought it, you hired it, you solved it. But a colicky baby and a feeding strike were completely unknown territory. Can I help? The words came out before he could filter them. Maya laughed, but there was no humor in it. Do you know how to change a diaper? No. Do you know how to make a bottle? No. Do you know how to soothe a crying baby? Definitely not. Then come anyway. It'll be quite an experience for the new dad. Maya's apartment in Williamsburg was small but cozy, with a pull-out couch, a kitchenette, and toys scattered everywhere. When Ryan arrived, he found Maya on the living room floor trying to change Matthew's diaper, while Sophia cried in her bouncer, and Gabriel slept fitfully on the couch. Come in, Maya said without looking at him, focused on cleaning up Matthew. "Can you get Sophia? Just rock her gently, sometimes that stops the crying." Ryan looked at the crying baby as if she were a bomb about to go off. How exactly?" "Support her head, hold her firmly but not too tight. It's easier than managing a multi-billion-dollar company." Ryan picked up Sophia with extreme care. She was so tiny he was afraid he might break her. To his surprise, she stopped crying and looked at him with curiosity, as if trying to figure him out. "Hello," Ryan whispered, feeling ridiculous. I'm your father." The words sounded strange in his mouth. Father. He who had spent his life avoiding emotional responsibilities was now holding a child who was completely dependent on him. "She likes you," Maya commented, finishing dressing Matthew. "She usually cries with strangers." "I'm not exactly a stranger," Ryan murmured, watching as Sophia gripped his finger with surprising strength. "Technically you are. They don't know you, Ryan. You need to understand that, to them, you're just another unfamiliar adult." The bluntness of Maya's observation hit him like a punch. She was right. He was their biological father, but a complete stranger to his own children. "How do I change that?" "Time, patience, presence." Maya stood up, holding Matthew. "And most importantly, you need to decide if you really want to change it or if you're just here out of obligation." Gabriel woke up at that moment and started to cry. Maya sighed. "Can you hold Sophia a little longer? I need to warm up his bottle." Ryan nodded, but when Maya left the room, panic set in. What if Sophia started crying? What if he dropped her? What if... "Hey," he whispered to the baby, "you're not going to make me look bad, are you?" Sophia just kept looking at him with those grey eyes, identical to his. Then, surprisingly, she smiled. Something shifted in Ryan's chest. He couldn't name the feeling. It was warmth and fear and a strange sense of completeness, all mixed together. "She's smiling," he called out to Maya in the kitchen. "It's probably just gas," Maya called back, but when she returned and saw the look on Ryan's face, she didn't say anything. The following weeks were an emotional roller coaster. Ryan started visiting the apartment regularly, trying to find his place in the chaotic dynamic. He discovered that changing diapers was an art he definitely had not mastered. On his first attempt, he managed to get more on his own clothes than on Matthew's. Making a bottle seemed simple until he learned that the wrong temperature resulted in a complete rejection from the babies. Maya watched him with a mixture of amusement and caution. She taught him the basics without judgment, but Ryan felt she was constantly evaluating his intentions. "Why are you doing this?" she asked one afternoon, after Ryan had spent 40 minutes trying to get Gabriel to stop crying. "What do you mean?" "This." Maya gestured around the room. "You could just send a monthly check and never show up again. Why are you trying so hard?" Ryan looked down at Gabriel, who had finally calmed down and fallen asleep in his arms. "I don't know," he admitted. "I know I should be terrified. I know this complicates everything in my life. But when I look at them..." "What?" "I can't explain it. It's like something I didn't even know was broken is starting to heal." Maya was quiet for a moment. "Ryan, you need to be sure. They aren't a project or an experiment. If you start being a part of their lives and then decide it's too complicated, you'll hurt them. And I won't let that happen." The fierce protectiveness in her voice impressed him. Maya would fight like a lioness for these babies, and Ryan respected that, even if it meant she would be hard on him. "I understand," he said, "and I want to try." The visits became more frequent. Ryan rearranged his schedule so he could spend afternoons at the apartment, learning the kids' routines. He discovered that Sophia loved classical music, that Matthew was fascinated by bright colors, and that Gabriel was the quietest but also the most observant of the three. Maya gradually began to relax around him. They developed a strange dynamic, like business partners managing a complex project, except the project was 3 babies who occasionally screamed all at once. "You're getting better," Maya commented one night after Ryan managed to bathe Matthew without flooding the bathroom. "Thanks. I think I only spilled half the water this time." Maya laughed, and Ryan realized how much he'd missed that sound. "You know, when I decided to come to you, I thought you were going to deny everything or try to buy me off. Why didn't you try to buy me off, I mean? Maya looked at him seriously. Because money doesn't build character. And if you were going to be the father of my children, I needed to know what kind of man you really were. And what kind of man do you think I am? I'm still figuring that out, she said honestly. That night, after the kids were asleep, Ryan and Maya sat talking on the couch. He told her about the pressure of running the company, about how he'd built emotional walls to protect himself. She talked about the difficulty of raising 3 babies alone, about the nights she cried from exhaustion. Do you ever regret it? Ryan asked. Coming to find me? Sometimes, Maya admitted. Not because you've been bad to them, but because it's scary letting someone else into their lives, and into mine. Ryan understood. He was scared too. For years he had controlled every aspect of his life, and now he had 3 children who depended on him emotionally, and a woman who challenged him in ways he didn't know were possible. Maya, he said slowly. What are we? I mean, the 2 of us. Co-parents, she answered quickly. We're raising the kids together, but that doesn't mean we have anything beyond them. Right, Ryan said, trying to ignore the strange pang he felt at her response. It was the following week that everything changed. Ryan was working late when he got a frantic call from Maya. Gabriel has a really high fever. I'm on my way to the hospital. Can you come? Ryan didn't even hang up before he was running out of the office. He got to Mount Sinai Hospital before the ambulance, his heart pounding uncontrollably. When he saw Maya get out of the ambulance carrying Gabriel, who looked so small and frail, something inside him broke. What happened? He asked, following them into the emergency room. The fever spiked so fast he was fine at dinner, and an hour later he was burning up. Maya was visibly panicked. Sophia and Matthew are with my neighbor, but what if it's contagious? What if... Hey, Ryan grabbed her shoulders. It's going to be okay. We're at the best hospital in the city. The next few hours were the longest of Ryan's life. Gabriel was admitted for observation with a suspected infection, and they took turns sitting by his crib, watching his every breath. Maya cried silently, and Ryan found he had no idea how to comfort her. It was at 3 in the morning that Ryan fully understood what was happening to him. Looking at Gabriel sleeping, hooked up to monitors, and at Maya, exhausted in the chair beside him, he realized he wasn't there out of obligation or guilt. He was there because these 4 people had become his family. The realization terrified him. Maya, he whispered. If you need anything at all, you can call me. She looked at him through her tears. Ryan, I know you don't need me. I know you raised them on your own until now, and I know I don't understand half of what it means to be a parent. But they're my children too, and you... He hesitated. You're important to me. All of you are. Maya closed her eyes. That wasn't part of the deal. I know. You said you didn't want complications. I know. So now what? Ryan looked at Gabriel, so small in the hospital crib. Now I know that some complications are worth it. Gabriel got better during the night. The fever broke, and the doctors determined it was just a simple viral infection. When they were finally able to take the baby home, Ryan insisted on driving. You're exhausted, he said when Maya protested. I'm fine. Maya, you haven't slept in 36 hours. Let me take care of you. It was the first time she completely relented. In the car, watching Ryan drive with extreme care while Gabriel slept in the car seat in the back, Maya felt something shift in her own chest. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For being there. For showing up when I needed you. Ryan glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Maya, you'll never have to face this alone again, I promise. And for the first time since she had knocked on his office door with 3 babies, Maya started to believe that maybe, just maybe, Ryan Montgomery could be the man her children deserved. And maybe, just maybe, she was starting to develop feelings she shouldn't have for him. 3 months after the hospital scare, life had found a new rhythm. Ryan had completely renovated his apartment, turning 2 bedrooms into a full-fledged kids' space, complete with cribs, toys, and all the gear needed to host the children on weekends. Maya had initially resisted the idea. But when she saw how Sophia, Matthew, and Gabriel adapted to the new environment, she relaxed her objections. "Daddy!" Sophia yelled as Ryan walked into Maya's apartment on a Thursday afternoon. She had started talking early, and Ryan still got emotional every time he heard that word. "Hey, princess," Ryan said, scooping her up and spinning her around until she giggled. Matthew and Gabriel ran to him too, grabbing his legs. "Careful, they're full of energy today," Maya warned from the kitchen where she was making dinner. "They've been running around the house all afternoon." Ryan watched Maya as she cooked. Little by little, she had become more relaxed around him. Their conversations flowed naturally. They worked as a team, taking care of the kids, and occasionally Ryan would catch himself admiring how beautiful she was when she smiled. "How was work?" Maya asked, serving plates for everyone. "Intense. We're closing a deal with the government to modernize the country's education system." Ryan sat at the table, helping Matthew eat. "And you? How was the meeting with that new client?" "Good. They approved my proposal for the farm management app." Maya smiled. "I'll be able to work from home and still have a steady income." Ryan felt a genuine sense of pride. Maya was brilliant, and watching her thrive professionally while raising 3 children was incredible. "Maya," he said hesitantly, "I have a proposal for you." She looked at him suspiciously. "What kind of proposal?" "Montgomery Tech needs someone to lead mobile application development. Someone with your experience and vision." "Ryan, no. You haven't even heard the offer." "I don't need to. I'm not going to work for you." "Why not?" Maya sighed, wiping Sophia's face. "Because it would be weird. It would complicate things between us." "Things are already complicated between us," Ryan said quietly. The silence stretched between them. It was true. There was a constant tension, a chemistry they both tried to ignore. Occasionally their hands would brush when they were taking care of the kids, or he'd catch her looking at him with an expression he couldn't decipher. "Ryan," Maya started, but was interrupted by Gabriel knocking over his juice cup. As they cleaned up the mess together, Ryan found himself watching the way Maya moved, how she laughed at the kids' antics, how she naturally included him in every family decision. Family. The word didn't terrify him anymore. After the children went to bed, Ryan and Maya sat on the couch, each with a glass of wine. It was a ritual they had developed, talking about their day, planning the week ahead, simply existing in the same space without the frantic energy of the little ones. "Maya," Ryan said, turning to look at her, "can I ask you a personal question?" "Depends on how personal." "Have you ever thought about us as more than just the kids' parents?" Maya froze, her glass suspended in mid-air. "Ryan, because I do. A lot." He moved slightly, closer. "I think about how beautiful you are when you smile. I think about how complete I feel when we're all together. I think about—" "Stop." Maya held up a hand. "We can't do this." "Why not?" "Because what if it doesn't work out? What if we get involved and then we fight? The kids will suffer. They need stability, Ryan, not a complicated relationship between their parents." "And what if it does work out?" Maya looked at him with a vulnerability he rarely saw. "I can't let myself think about that." Ryan understood. She had protected herself for so long, built up walls to shield not only herself, but the children. Trusting him romantically was a risk she wasn't willing to take. "Okay," he said finally. "I won't push you." But when they said goodbye that night, the kiss Ryan placed on her forehead lasted a few seconds longer than usual, and Maya didn't pull away. Life continued in this unresolved tension for a few more weeks. Ryan became a constant presence, helping with the kids, sharing responsibilities, creating memories. Sophia had become especially attached to him, always asking for Daddy when she was sad or hurt. Matthew loved it when Ryan taught him about numbers and colors. Gabriel, the quietest, liked to sit on Ryan's lap and listen to music. It was on a Friday night that Ryan's past came back to collect its debts. Ryan was in his office, working late as usual, when Carla buzzed him. "Mr. Montgomery, there's a woman here who insists on seeing you. She said it's urgent." I'm busy. Schedule her for Monday. Sir, she said to tell you it's Isabella Vance. Ryan felt his blood run cold. Isabella Vance, his former business partner, former lover, and the woman who had nearly destroyed his career 5 years ago. Send her up, he said, bracing for the storm. Isabella strode into the office as if she owned the place. Tall, blonde, impeccably dressed, she radiated the kind of predatory confidence Ryan had forgotten how dangerous was. Ryan, darling, she said, sitting in the chair across from his desk, uninvited. You're looking rather domestic. Isabella, what do you want? Straight to the point. I always liked that about you. She crossed her legs, smiling. I heard you became a father. Triplets, wasn't it? What an interesting situation. Ryan kept his expression neutral, but inside, he was on high alert. How did you find out? Darling, in our world, news like that travels fast, especially when it involves the country's most eligible bachelor. Isabella pulled an envelope from her purse. By the way, what lovely photos. Ryan opened the envelope and found pictures of himself with Maya and the children, at the park, entering her apartment, playing with the babies, all clearly taken without his knowledge. What do you want, Isabella? Vance Industries is going through some financial difficulties. Nothing a good partnership couldn't solve. Her smile was venomous. Remember that project we were developing? Before our dual split. It's time to revive it. No. No? Isabella laughed. Darling, I don't think you understand. These photos are very interesting. A powerful man like you, involved with such a simple woman, and children who appeared out of nowhere. The press would love a story like that. Ryan stood up slowly. Are you blackmailing me? I'm offering a mutually beneficial business opportunity. A partnership between our companies would be profitable for both of us, and these intimate photos would remain private. And if I refuse? Well, imagine the headlines. Billionaire hides illegitimate children. Montgomery Tech CEO embroiled in family scandal. How do you think that would affect your stock price, your government contracts? Isabella stood, smoothing her skirt. And of course, all this exposure would be terrible for poor Maya and the children. Photographers at their door, invasive reports. What a trauma for such little babies. Ryan clenched his fists. Isabella knew exactly where to strike. His family. He didn't care about his own reputation, but the thought of Maya and the kids being exposed and hounded by the media terrified him. How long do I have to decide? 1 week. Oh, and Ryan? Isabella paused at the door. It would be best if you didn't mention our conversation to anyone, especially not to Maya. It would be a shame if she got worried for nothing. After Isabella left, Ryan was alone in his office, staring at the photographs. In all of them, he looked genuinely happy. There was a picture of Maya laughing as he tried to change Gabriel's diaper, another of him asleep on the couch with Sophia on his chest, one of all of them at the park looking like a real family. His happiness had been turned into a weapon against him. Ryan spent the entire weekend with Maya and the kids, trying to act normal. But Maya knew him too well not to notice something was wrong. You're acting strange, she said on Sunday night, after the kids were asleep. I'm fine. Just work. Ryan. Maya held his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. What happened? For a moment, Ryan was tempted to tell her everything, to show her the photos, explain about Isabella, ask for her help in finding a solution. But then he pictured photographers chasing Maya down the street, imagined headlines speculating about their lives, imagined the children growing up under public scrutiny. Nothing I can't handle, he said, kissing her forehead. Maya studied him for a long moment. You know you can trust me, right? Whatever it is. I know. But when Ryan left her apartment that night, he had already made his decision. He would protect his family even if it meant losing them. On Monday morning, Ryan called Isabella. I knew you'd be sensible, she said, pleased. What are your terms? An equal partnership between our companies, access to all your government contracts, and of course you'll start attending the same social events as me. We need to show that we're friends again. Ryan closed his eyes. And the photos. They'll be our little secret, as long as you're a good partner." After he hung up, Ryan stared at the picture of the kids on his desk. He had made the only choice possible to protect them. Now he had to find a way to explain to Maya why his life was about to change drastically, and why he couldn't tell her the real reason. The change was gradual at first. Ryan started cancelling dinners, arriving later to pick up the kids, being distracted during conversations with Maya. She noticed but chalked it up to work stress until the first photos appeared. "Ryan, why didn't you tell me about this?" Maya was holding a tablet, showing him a Forbes article. "Montgomery and Vance, the partnership poised to revolutionize the tech market." Ryan was on the living room floor building blocks with Matthew, trying to seem casual. "It's just business, Maya. Nothing major." "Nothing major?" Maya sat down next to him. "Ryan, this woman isn't nothing major. Isabella Vance is known for destroying partnerships. You two had that public scandal 5 years ago, remember? Why would you partner with her again?" "People change. Business is pragmatic." Ryan avoided her eyes. "Sometimes you have to work with people you don't like." Maya was quiet for a moment, watching him. "Ryan, look at me." Reluctantly, he met her gaze. "You're lying to me," she said simply. "I can see it in your eyes." Before Ryan could answer, Sophia started crying in the other room. Maya got up, but not without giving him one last piercing look. In the following weeks, the situation worsened. Ryan appeared at social events with Isabella, smiling for cameras, faking a friendly partnership that made him sick to his stomach. Isabella took every opportunity to get physically close to him, a hand on his arm, a whisper in his ear, intimate smiles for the photographers. Maya saw it all on social media and in magazines. Ryan would come home from these events visibly tense but refused to explain. "The kids can feel your tension," Maya said one Thursday after Gabriel had been fussy all day for no apparent reason. "They don't understand what's happening, but they know something is wrong." "Everything's fine," Ryan insisted, but even he didn't believe his own words. "No, it's not," Maya exploded. "You're in every magazine with that woman. You disappear for days without explanation. You lie when I ask about work. If you don't want to be part of our lives anymore, at least be honest about it." "How can you say that?" Ryan raised his voice too. "Everything I do is for you. Then explain it to me. Tell me what's going on." Ryan opened his mouth to speak, but Isabella's words echoed in his mind. It would be a shame if she got worried for nothing. He closed his mouth and Maya saw the hesitation. "I see, she said, her voice dangerously calm. "You don't trust me." "Maya, that's not it." "It's exactly it." Tears started to well in her eyes. "I opened my life to you, Ryan. I let you into my children's lives, and you treat me like I'm incapable of handling the truth." That night, Ryan went to his own apartment alone for the first time in months. The silence was deafening. He looked at the kids' rooms, perfectly organized and empty, and felt as if something fundamental was being ripped away from him. The breaking point came 2 weeks later. Maya was scrolling, on her phone when she saw the picture. Ryan and Isabella leaving a hotel, his hand on the small of her back in an intimate way, both of them laughing. The caption read, "Romance rekindled. Montgomery and Vance seem closer than ever." The phone trembled in her hands. She looked at the children playing in the living room, Sophia building a tower of blocks, Matthew flipping through a picture book, Gabriel drumming with wooden spoons. They adored Ryan. They called him Daddy, ran to the door when he arrived, slept better when he was around, and he was with another woman. When Ryan arrived that afternoon, he found 3 small suitcases by the door. "Maya?" he called, but she appeared holding Sophia, with Matthew and Gabriel trailing behind her. "We're going to Austin," she said without preamble. "What? Why?" "Because I'm not going to raise my children watching their father publicly humiliate me." Maya avoided looking directly at him. "Tech South offered me a permanent position. We're going to start over there." "Maya, wait. Let me explain." "Explain what, Ryan? That you're having an affair with your ex while playing house with me? That's not true." "Then tell me what is." Maya finally looked at him, and Ryan saw a deep pain in her eyes. "Because I've asked you 1,000 times, and you always said everything was fine." Ryan looked at the children. Sophia was crying softly, as if sensing the tension. Matthew was clinging to Maya's leg. Gabriel just watched everything with his big, sad eyes. "Maya, please, the kids. The kids will be fine. They're resilient." Her voice broke slightly. "But I can't keep pretending everything is okay while you destroy our family for your business. It's not for the business." "Then what is it for?" Maya yelled, losing her control. "Because I can't make up any more excuses for you." Ryan opened his mouth, desperate to tell the truth, to explain about the blackmail, about how he was trying to protect them. But then he imagined Isabella carrying out her threats, imagined their lives splashed across the tabloids, imagined the children growing up under public scrutiny. I can't explain," he said finally. Maya closed her eyes for a long moment. When she opened them again, there was a coldness Ryan had never seen before. "Then we have nothing left to talk about. Maya, the children are my kids too. You can't just take them away. I'm not stopping you from seeing them. I'm protecting myself from you." Maya picked up 2 of the suitcases. "They can spend 1 weekend a month here, or you can visit them in Austin." 1 weekend a month? Ryan felt real panic. "Maya, they're my life. You should have thought of that sooner." Ryan watched, completely helpless, as Maya put the children in the car. Sophia reached her little arms out to him, crying, "Daddy, Daddy," and Ryan had to fight not to break down right there. "I love you," he said, quietly, more to himself than to her. Maya paused with her hand on the car door. "If you loved me, you would have trusted me." And then they were gone. Ryan stood on the sidewalk until the car completely disappeared from view. Then he went up to his empty apartment, and for the first time in years he cried. The next few days were a blur. Ryan operated on autopilot, meetings, business decisions, public appearances with Isabella. But inside, he was dead. He spoke to Maya on the phone to check on the kids, brief, cold conversations that broke his heart. "How are they?" he always asked. "Adjusting," Maya would reply. "Gabriel asks for you. Sophia cries sometimes before she goes to sleep." Every update was a stab to the heart. It was Carla who finally confronted him. "Mr. Montgomery, with all due respect, you look terrible. You haven't been eating, you're not sleeping, you're making mistakes in important meetings." She sat down in front of his desk, uninvited. "What is going on?" Ryan looked at his assistant of 5 years. Carla had watched him build his empire, had witnessed his victories and defeats. If there was anyone he could trust. "Isabella is blackmailing me," he said simply. Carla didn't seem surprised. "About the children?" "She has photos. She threatened to expose everything, to destroy Maya's and the kids' privacy if I didn't agree to the partnership." "And you agreed?" "To protect them." "Protect them from what?" "From being happy." Carla sighed. "Mr. Montgomery, may I ask a personal question?" Ryan nodded. "Have you ever stopped to think that maybe Maya wanted to choose for herself whether facing the exposure was worth it to be with you?" The question hit him like a freight train. "What do you mean?" "I mean, you made a unilateral decision about the life of an intelligent adult woman. You assumed she wouldn't be able to handle the pressure, that she wouldn't be strong enough to face it by your side." Carla stood up. "Excuse me, sir, but that's a pretty sexist attitude." After Carla left, Ryan stared at the picture of the kids on his desk. Carla was right. He had assumed Maya needed to be protected, when in reality she had faced much worse on her own. She had raised 3 babies without help, built a career from scratch, had the courage to seek him out knowing she could be rejected, and he had treated her as if she were too fragile for the truth. That night Ryan called Maya. "Hello," she said, her voice neutral. "Maya, I need to tell you something. About Isabella. About everything. Ryan, it's late and she's blackmailing me." The words rushed out. "She has pictures of us, of me and the kids. She threatened to leak everything to the press if I didn't agree to the partnership. I thought I was protecting you." Silence on the other end of the line. "Maya, You lied to me for months. To protect me from some photos? Her voice was dangerously low. Maya, you destroyed our family because you assumed I couldn't handle a few photographers. It wasn't just that. It was exactly that, Maya exploded. Ryan, I raised 3 babies by myself. I worked 2 jobs to support us. I had the courage to find a billionaire and tell him he had children, and you thought I wouldn't be strong enough to deal with a few reporters. Ryan realized the magnitude of his mistake. Maya, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hear it. The line was quiet for a moment. Ryan, the problem wasn't that you lied to protect me. The problem was that you didn't trust me to make decisions about my own life. And she hung up. Ryan stood holding the phone, knowing he had lost the only thing that truly mattered. And worse, he had lost it because of his own stupidity. 2,000 miles away in Austin, Maya put the phone down and looked out the window of the small apartment they had rented. The children were sleeping peacefully in the next room, finally adjusted to their new routine. She had told the truth. The problem wasn't that he had tried to protect her. The problem was that he had made the decision alone, without considering her capable of being his true partner. But as she watched the rain fall on the street below, Maya couldn't stop thinking about the broken sound of Ryan's voice on the phone, and despite all the anger and disappointment, a part of her still wondered if there was any hope for them, a part she was fighting very hard to silence. The conversation with Maya was the wake-up call Ryan needed. For 3 straight nights he didn't sleep, just reflected on everything that had happened. Carla was right, Maya was right. He had made unilateral decisions about her life as if she were a child incapable of facing adversity. On the 4th morning, Ryan called his lawyer. I need you to investigate Isabella Vance, all her business activities, personal dealings, everything, and I want to know about those photos, how they were taken, when, by whom. Mr. Montgomery, this could take weeks. You have until Friday. While the lawyer worked, Ryan made a decision that stunned everyone. He called an emergency meeting with the Montgomery Tech Board and announced he was dissolving the partnership with Isabella, even if it cost a fortune in contract penalties. Ryan, have you lost your mind? Questioned Miranda Lewis, the CFO. The penalty will cost us $50 million. $50 million is a bargain for what that woman is trying to cost me, Ryan answered coldly. Isabella stormed into his office that same day, furious. You can't break our agreement, she hissed. Have you forgotten about the photos? Publish them, Ryan said, surprising her. Go right ahead. Ryan, you're bluffing, your precious family. My family already left me because of your manipulations. I have nothing left to lose. Ryan stood up, walking to the window. But you do. What are you talking about? Ryan turned, a cold smile on his face. My lawyer found some interesting things about your business practices. Tax evasion, money laundering, bribery of public officials. All very well documented. The color drained from Isabella's face. So here's my counteroffer, Ryan continued. You're going to destroy every single photo in front of me. You're going to disappear from my life, and maybe I won't hand this evidence over to the IRS and the Department of Justice. You can't do that. I can and I will. You taught me that sometimes you have to play dirty to protect what you love. Ryan returned to his chair. The difference is I protect people I love. You only protect yourself. Isabella tried to argue, threaten, negotiate, but Ryan didn't budge. In the end, she deleted all the photos in front of him and signed a non-disclosure agreement that barred her from ever approaching him or his family again. After she left, Ryan felt free for the first time in months. But freedom wasn't enough. He needed to rebuild himself. The first change was radical. Ryan resigned as CEO of Montgomery Tech, keeping only a seat on the board. He sold his luxury penthouse, his imported car, and cancelled his limitless credit cards. He donated half of his fortune to charities that helped single mothers and vulnerable children. Mr. Montgomery, please reconsider, Carla pleaded. This is too drastic. Carla, for years I confused financial success with personal worth. I thought I needed all this luxury to be someone, but the only times I've ever felt truly happy were in a small apartment in Williamsburg, changing diapers and making bottles. Ryan bought a simple apartment in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, near where Maya used to live. He took a job as a senior developer at a social tech startup, earning less in a month than he used to spend in a week. It wasn't easy. Learning to cook, grocery shop, do his own laundry, getting used to public transportation, a small apartment, a normal lifestyle. But with each passing day, Ryan felt lighter, more real. He called Maya weekly to check on the kids. The conversations were polite, but distant. She told him how Gabriel had started saying more words, how Sophia was learning to walk, how Matthew loved books. Ryan memorized every detail, aching for every missed moment. "They ask about you," Maya said in one call, her voice softer than usual. "What do you tell them?" "That Daddy is learning to be a better person." 6 months after they separated, Ryan worked up the courage to ask a question he'd been holding back. "Maya, can I come visit them?" Silence on the other end. "They would like that," she said finally. "But Ryan, you need to understand this isn't about us. It's about them getting to know their father." "I understand." The trip to Austin was the most nerve-wracking of Ryan's life. He took an overnight bus, carrying a simple backpack with carefully chosen gifts, books for Matthew, small musical instruments for Gabriel, and cloth dolls for Sophia. When Maya opened the door to her apartment in Austin, Ryan almost didn't recognize her. She was thinner, her hair was shorter, but there was a new strength in her eyes. "Hi," she said simply. "Hi." Before they could say anything else, 3 voices screamed, "Daddy!" And Ryan was tackled by 3 children who had grown so much in 6 months. Tears streamed down his face as he hugged his kids. Sophia chatted about everything at once. Matthew showed him a new book he was reading, and Gabriel just snuggled into his lap and stayed quiet, as if he'd been waiting months for that moment. "Daddy live here?" Sophia asked, and Ryan's heart broke. "No, Princess. Daddy just came to visit." Over the weekend, Ryan focused completely on the children. He played at the park, read stories, and helped Maya with their routine. He didn't try to talk about their relationship or ask for a second chance. He was just present. On the last day after the kids were asleep, Maya made coffee for them both. "You're different," she observed. "How so?" "More light, less tense." Maya studied him. What happened with the company, with that whole luxury lifestyle? Ryan told her everything, about confronting Isabella, about the decision to simplify his life, about discovering that happiness couldn't be bought. "Why did you do all that?" Maya asked when he finished. "Because I realized the man I was didn't deserve you, or the kids, so I decided to become the man you all deserve." Maya was quiet for a long time. "Ryan, it doesn't work like that. You can't completely change for someone else." "It wasn't for you," Ryan said honestly. "It was for me. For years, I lived a life that wasn't mine, trying to be what others expected. You all showed me who I really want to be." When Ryan returned to New York, he kept up his new routine. Simple but meaningful work, a modest but honest life, regular phone calls with the kids. He didn't pressure Maya, didn't make grand promises. He just kept being the best version of himself. It took another 4 months for Maya to show up in New York. Ryan was coming home from work on a Thursday when he saw a familiar figure at his building's entrance. Maya was sitting on the steps, a small suitcase beside her. "Maya," he ran to her. "Is everything okay? The kids? They're fine. They're with my mom." Maya stood up, looking nervous. I came to talk to you." Ryan opened the door to his apartment, suddenly self-conscious of its simplicity. It was clean and organized, but definitely not the standard of luxury Maya was used to. "It's cozy," she said, looking around. "Very you." "Maya, why are you here?" She took a deep breath. "Because you were right. About some things, at least." "What do you mean?" "You said you couldn't explain. At the time I thought it was an excuse, but I've been thinking a lot about it. About us." Maya sat on the simple couch. "Ryan, you made terrible mistakes. You lied, You made decisions for me. You almost destroyed our family. Ryan nodded. I know. But you were also trying to protect us, in a twisted, sexist, and completely wrong way. But you were. Maya looked at him. And when you realized your mistake, you didn't just admit it, you changed. Completely. Maya, let me finish. She held up a hand. Over these months, I've changed too. I learned that I can raise our children alone, that I'm stronger than I ever imagined. But I also learned that I don't want to do it alone if I don't have to. Ryan's heart started to pound. The kids ask about you every day. Sophia cries before bed. Gabriel doesn't laugh like he used to. Matthew asks when we're going to be a family again. Maya stood up. And I miss you too. Maya, what are you saying? I'm saying that if you've really changed, if you've really learned to trust me as a partner and not as someone who needs to be protected, maybe we can try again. Ryan approached her slowly. I have changed. I've learned. And I swear on everything holy that I will never make another decision about our lives without talking to you first. And what if another Isabella shows up? Another problem you think you need to protect me from? I'll tell you immediately. We'll face it together, as real partners. Maya studied his face for a long moment. Ryan, I don't want the luxurious life from before. I don't want the social events, the magazines, all that artificiality. Neither do I. I want this. Ryan gestured around the room. I want a simple life, with you and the kids. I want messy breakfasts, toys scattered everywhere, nights spent watching cartoons. And if I wanted to move back to New York, to be closer, I'd help you pack. And if I wanted to get married, at City Hall, just us and the kids, nothing grand. Ryan's heart stopped. Maya, it's a hypothetical question, she said quickly, but she was blushing. Ryan knelt in front of her, taking her hands. Maya Scott, if you give me a second chance, a real one, I will spend the rest of my life proving I'm the man that you and our children deserve. And if you ever want to marry me, it will be the happiest day of my life. Maya looked at him for a long moment. Then slowly she smiled. Okay, let's try again. Ryan kissed her then, softly, as if she were the most precious thing in the world, because she was. There's just one condition, Maya said when they parted. Anything. You have to win. Back the kids, too. They're mad that Daddy went away. Ryan laughed. Challenge accepted. 2 years later, Ryan woke up to Sophia jumping on the bed, yelling, Birthday! Birthday! Matthew and Gabriel came running in right after, all dressed in the party clothes Maya had laid out the night before. Good morning, family, Ryan murmured, pulling Maya into a hug. Good morning, husband, she replied, flashing the simple wedding band she'd worn for a year. The apartment in Greenpoint had transformed into a real home. Toys were scattered about, drawings were stuck to the fridge, and family photos filled every corner. Ryan worked for an educational tech non-profit. Maya had started her own social app development company, and together they were raising 3 loud, smart, and happy children. It wasn't the life Ryan had planned. It was infinitely better. During their chaotic breakfast, Sophia with chocolate on her face, Gabriel playing a tune on his new xylophone, Matthew reading aloud to anyone who would listen, Maya took Ryan's hand. Any regrets? She asked, smiling. Ryan looked around, at the small kitchen where they'd set up a special corner for the kids to eat, at the living room where 3 small beds shared, space with toys and books, at the children who called him Daddy so naturally that he sometimes forgot there was a time he didn't know them. Just the opposite, he said, kissing her hand. I regret that it took me so long to understand what really matters. Sophia climbed into his lap, smearing his shirt with jam. Daddy, you gonna stay forever? Forever, princess, Ryan answered, looking into the eyes of the daughter who had changed his life. Daddy's never leaving again. And for the first time in his life, Ryan Montgomery was exactly where he belonged, in the middle of the wonderful chaos of a real family, built not with money or power, but with love, patience, and the courage to be vulnerable. The adventure he had feared most had become the greatest achievement of his life. And as he watched Maya laugh at the children's antics, Ryan knew he had found something no fortune could ever buy: a true home.